Hello, everyone. A very good evening. I am Vivek, and I welcome you to the third episode of Vidya Manthan Season 1. This series is organized by Authority Solutions and Punekar News. In today's episode, we will be talking about soft skills, its importance, and the ways to develop. The term soft skills covers a wide range of skills as diverse as time management, teamwork, empathy, and delegation. The importance of these soft skills is often undervalued. And there is far less training provided for them than hard skills such as coding, science, and maybe other subjects. Organizations at later stage seem to expect people know how to behave on the job and the importance of skills such as taking initiative, communicating effectively, and listening, which often is not the case. To discuss this topic, we have with us our three esteemed guests as panel members. First, we have Mrs. Jashri Venkatraman ma'am, who is principal of SNBP International School, Rahatani. Ma'am holds BSc, B.Ed, MA, and MBA degree and has 30 years of experience in teaching and 16 years of experience in school administration. Ma'am has received various awards during her journey into education. To name a few, she received Dr. Radhakrishna Award for contribution in the field of education. She received Best Principal Award twice from the Science Olympiad Foundation, Best Principal Award from Unified Council, was felicitated by Army Chief, our ex-Army Chief right now, Mr. Bipin Rawat, as the most inspiring principal to sanitize students towards army welfare. Sensitize students, I'm so sorry. Was awarded by AKS at New Delhi, was awarded Leadership Excellence Award, and many more. Welcome, ma'am. We are glad that you have joined us today.
Thank you so much, Vivek.
Next, we have Mrs. Veena Sahni, ma'am, who is principal of Army Public School, Bangalore. Ma'am has total experience of 27 years, out of which last 8 years as principal of schools. Her subject of interest is science. And ma'am was my personal mentor too when I was taking my high school education during the course of 9th and 10th standard. Welcome, ma'am. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Vivek. Thank you for having me.
And last but not the least, we have Mrs. Kalpana Nikhale, the principal of Signet Public School, Hadapsar. She's been working in education sector since last 20 years and currently as principal of the school. Welcome, ma'am. We are glad that you have joined us today.
Thank you, Vivek, sir.
So, ma'am, let's start with just basic introduction of soft skills. Like soft skills are very important for us, especially when dealing with people or situation. So, what is your view on this? I'll ask Jashri ma'am to start on this.
Absolutely. I think soft skills is your personality, right? I think people connect with you because of your soft skills. It is very, very critical, very, very significant part of your personality. It's more of a personality building skill set, which I would deem as soft skills. And unfortunately, in our education system, it has been sadly missed out because more often than not, we have been concentrating on cognitive learning. The affective domain of the learning program has been sadly missed out. And this is precisely what the affective domain is all about, like problem solving, creative thinking, communication skills, accepting failures. All these are so critical in a child's life. And when would they develop it if not in their initial stages of childhood, where they are so adaptive to learning? So I think the very fact that we are discussing about this today, I'm so glad that we have been able to kind of voice our opinion and thoughts on this, and I'm sure my co-panelists are also going to be agreeing with this.
Yes.
Definitely, ma'am. There cannot be a better way to introduce this and the importance of soft skills. Veena ma'am, like, what do you think? how important is
Uh,
soft skills from a child's development perspective?
yes, Vivek, I think that, soft skill means what you are rather than what you have. So when we talk about what you are, so that speaks out your entire delegation, your duties, your responsibilities, your conduct, your mannerism, your behavior. So everything comes under that what you are carrying. And to develop these soft skills, it's always said that the education system is not, as ma'am has also mentioned, that we are ignoring this soft skill part in the curriculum, wherein we only academics and academic, we are laying stress on academic. But I think to improve the soft skills or to blend the soft skills, one must have their own initiative. So then only, we can target a certain skill in ourselves, which is called a soft skill, be it leadership quality or positive attitude, critical thinking, teamwork, anything, work ethics. So everything, for that, you have to first be prepared to be educated on that, and then somebody can pursue and somebody can guide you in that particular soft skill. So first thing is that we must know that the importance of soft skill, and then how is it going to be acquired. Some of the soft skills, I agree, coming from a science background, they are genetic. They are sometimes behavioral, certain soft skills you are going to inherit them from your parents, but not all. We have to, there are certain skills, soft skills, which you have to build on slowly. As I would give you an example, that the child is using the language we call mother tongue. Why mother tongue? Because the child hears it and slowly, you don't even know when the child starts speaking. So all the children, whatever soft skills they are watching in their parents, they are getting demonstrated in the school by means of teachers, they are going to acquire it. So we as adults have to be very, very careful in our conduct, because there are eyes which are continuously watching us. So I think, as ma'am has said, that the very reason that why we are here and we are discussing it, it means a revolution. It means that we are going to do something about it. We are going to think about it.
Definitely, ma'am. As your like soft skill is defined as your reflection behind your back. This is what people are going to talk about and remember. Other hard skills can be developed, but soft skill is something. And as you know, the fact says the brain the development of brain stops after a certain age. So in school education, it plays a very important role, and this should be included. Even I agree to that term. Kalpana, ma'am, I'll come to you. What is your
Yes.
viewpoint on soft skills and how
Actually, like
important
ma'am
that is
has
for us?
told, yes, ma'am has said soft skills are character traits, but we can acquire the soft skills. For example, like ma'am has told, take an example of leadership. Everyone is not a born leader, but we can acquire these characters by working hard. Even the environment around us makes a big influence on the soft skills or the characters which we build. I believe even if these are character traits which we gain, but we can also acquire the characters, like ma'am said, by working hard. We can change ourselves and acquire success in life by using these soft skills. So these are not just character traits, but we can gain the soft skill. That's what I believe in.
Okay, ma'am. So true. Soft skills can
Yeah.
be developed for sure.
Yeah.
So actually, now soft skill has got a very vague definition, and people do not understand it very easily. Mainly students and parents. So I would like you to emphasize on that. What are the important soft skills, the most important ones that students must develop from early age, and parents should also focus on that. So the important soft skills that students must develop from early age, that is fifth standard, fourth standard, sixth standard, that way. Yes, ma'am. Jashri, ma'am.
Yeah, actually, quoting Howard Gardner, the social scientist, he mentioned 5 kinds of minds that are the key essentials for the 21st century learner. And they are creative mind, respectful mind, ethical mind, disciplined mind, synthesizing mind. So if you have these 5 minds getting nurtured, I'm sure it will encompass everything. When you talk about creative mind, it will be problem solving, creative thinking, thinking out of box. Okay, right, coming out of a problem. Synthesizing mind is about applying one subject knowledge to other subject, because brain is not compartmentalized for different subjects. So whatever I have learned from one subject, I can definitely apply. So that amount of understanding of one subject, how I can apply another subject. Like for instance, I'll just give you an example. If I'm talking about civic sense, harmonious living, can I talk about my own body? How beautifully every organ in my body works to ensure that I remain healthy, especially during these times. Right? So I think every organ is so respectful to the other organ, giving space to the other organ, helping facilitate the other organ, support the total body to remain healthy and active. So creating a harmonious human being. So one subject, if the child is able to relate to the other subject, that is about synthesizing. Ethical mind. What is not mine doesn't belong to me. Can my children, in fact, incidentally, I have sent my concept note for changing of civics curriculum in our schools, okay, to NCERT and CBSE. I have requested them that they need to relook considering the new education policy that has come by, because I suppose civics as a subject is being sadly portrayed as a political science subject. Why should a child of 12 and 13 know about what is the role and responsibility of a president of the country, prime minister of the country, legislative assembly, legislative council? If you ask me, then it naturally by default becomes a rote learning. But if my children are being taught about the fact that I can't enjoy comfort at a cost of somebody else's discomfort, I suppose we'll have a better world to live in. So can this be taught? Like simple things. It is not about freedom every time. Suppose I have the freedom to switch off the tap or keep it on, flush the commode or not flush the commode, because I have the privacy. Nobody is checking on me, but I have to ensure that I do it because I am a responsible citizen of the school, of any place that I belong to, of the country, of the street that I belong to. So I suppose all these things have to be, unfortunately, I think many a times, quite a few of us, I'm sure as adults, we also argue values can never be taught, it has to be caught, right? But all the same, I suppose some mentions of this on your daily routine, if it is done, I think it will make a lot of sense. And of course, disciplined mind. When you talk about discipline, it is about ensuring punctuality, speaking by turn, raising your hand before speaking, moving in proper order, sequence. Again, all this actually, so there are typical 5 minds that Howard Gardner has spoken, which encompasses all the values and soft skills that we have spoken. It is creative mind, respectful mind, synthesizing mind, and ethical mind, and disciplined mind. So if we take into account all this, I'm sure we shall definitely be able to develop a curriculum based on it, and it becomes very, very clear to the stakeholders in general.
I never heard a better explanation than this, ma'am. Thank you so much for giving your valuable inputs. And I hope all the students and parents are listening to this. Trust me, just inculcate these 5 type of minds. Try to develop them one by one. It starts from scratch, but daily, like as it is said, if you improve even 1% daily, after 100 days, you'll be altogether a better person, a different person altogether. And of course, much better one. Veena ma'am, I'll come to you. So yes, what are the important soft skills according to you that child should develop from the early age, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th?
Yeah, see, Not even in third, fourth, fifth, sixth, I would refer to even the younger ones, even, first, second standard, or even before they, come to the school. There are soft skills which the child must be acquiring and must be taught, and or must be, I think we can always, tell the children to follow by giving our own examples. It's just like, a parent or a teacher. So the children, they'll blindly follow whatever their teacher is doing. I have seen children, wearing the same color of the clothes in LKG or nursery as their teacher wears. So they will completely imbibe their teachers into them. They'll try to do that. And as the soft skills, they come from continual reflection. So we have to keep on, giving them these foods so that they are not being deprived of any one instant or any one chance of getting these soft skills. To me, when I see as a senior school's children, when they come and, when they talk about anxiety, exam anxiety, or sometimes, they will just walk into my office and say, ma'am, what if I do not appear for the boards this year? Because I'm not prepared. So, then, I as a leader, I take the responsibility of this state of mind. And then I do the retrospect in my mind to visualize what could have gone wrong, where. So one thing which we are really not able to tell our children is time management, which is the basic, requirement of this age. I'm sorry to call this age Vivek, because you also belong to the same age for me. Because you people are always, I watch it at my home also, my own children, if something has to be, done at 11 o'clock, they will be reminded at 10:54 that now is the time to do that. Wherein I think our age children, if something has to be done at 11 o'clock, you will start in that preparation mode at 10 itself. That at 10 o'clock, you will think that what are you going to do? What do you require? You need, just like today's meeting also, when you said we'll be meeting at 4:45, I was ready at 4:30. But this I will not be able to expect from my 12th standard children, because they have not been taught with the time management. So one thing is this. And second thing is problem solving. We as parents have become so possessive and so helpful to our children. My child has a tire puncture in the scooty. I say, okay, you take the car, I will get that repaired. Similarly, a cycle breakdown. So I'll say, okay, you leave the cycle, I'll drop you, we'll get the cycle. We are not giving them the chance to think what can be done as a problem solution. And they are so handicapped when they go to the hostel after 12th standard. And then you'll have a call from them. Ma, we do not like food which is served in the mess. I do not want to study here, because we did not teach them. We have not taught them to solve their own problems. We have been the, total savior around them as mothers. And these days, super mothers, I would say. They work in the office also, they work at home also, and they take pride in solving all the problems. But I give a caution to all such mothers. Please do not solve all the problems of the children. Please let them handle their own problems. Otherwise, whenever there is going to be a heartbreak, whenever there are going to be exams, they will have sleepless nights. They will not know how to handle that. How often will they come to you? And how often can you solve their problem? So if the time management and problem solving, these two things we are able to deal with this, era of the students, I think half of our job as principals has also been sorted out.
So true, ma'am. So true. Like, yes, as you said, the dependency part kills the creativity. And that has been seen at most of the time. Like before the start of this live show, we were discussing the major affected students are those who were completely dependent on their parents to, send them to school, pick them up. Because right now they do not know what to do sitting at home ideally. Those who had their social circle, they are at least in contact, they are passing on the time without, much disturbance compared to those who were solely dependent on, parents for their daily jobs. So Kalpana ma'am, I'll come to you.
Yes, sir.
According to you, what are the ways to develop the soft skills and at what age should it be introduced?
The age, if you see, we should start, a child learns soft skills right from the his or her birth, because as a child takes birth, he starts adapting to the environment around him. So right from the birth, the child is adapting. And like you asked me, what is the most important life skill the child should have, soft skill the child should have? I should say it is flexibility and adaptability. Even in this situation today, uh, if we are not able to adapt, one who is not able to adapt perishes. Why we are facing these problems, or these kids are facing problem now in this situation, is because maybe they don't know how to adapt with the situation. They are so rigid, their lifestyle is so planned, so fixed, that they are not able to adjust with whatever is going around us. And that's why we see children are frustrated in this situation. Like ma'am has told, our generation, maybe we have grown up with but accepting the failures. These children, they do not know what is the failure. They don't know how to adapt with the situation. And the child starts learning all these soft skill right from the birth. And the most important age to learn this soft skill is from age 1 to age 9, when a child learns a lot many things than what he learns in his elderly age. So this is what I think, that the most important skill which a child should have is the adaptability and flexibility. Thank you.
One thing, Vivek, I would like to add, if I'm permitted to.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, when we talk about
Please go ahead, ma'am.
when we talk about soft skills, we can give this kind of temptation to the students, that once you learn the soft skill, it will not change. Unlike the hard skills, like the hard skills, according to the expectations of your job, of your career, they are going to change. I had never heard this hard skill called coding in my childhood. This is a new development. But the soft skills which I had developed in my childhood, they are same which my grandchildren are developing now. So the soft skills, they are eternal. They will remain the same. Your basic communication, be it leadership, be it empathy or behavior or sympathy, whatever you call about, they will always be similar. They will always be same. You need not change them with the situations. You need not change them with the expectations of life, unlike the hard skills.
Yes, right.
So true, ma'am.
Right.
Like hard skills, yeah, whatever we are learning today as hard skills may not be useful 10 years down the line, because there can be automatic coding. There are artificial intelligence that is creating, automation is created. So lots of other job requirements might not be there. But soft skills, yes. Once it, and that passes from generation to generation. So as rightly you said, ma'am, the word eternal, they stay forever. So
Yes.
ma'am, like here, now we have been talking about the soft skills, but we as educators in school, so in school, how do we help them develop soft skills? Knowingly, unknowingly, without curriculum. So of course, because students spend lots of their time, I think majority of their idle time in school, like 6 to 8 hours daily, is a good amount of time, and there a good portion of soft skills are developed. So what are they? How does the school contribute in developing the soft skills? Jayashree,
Yeah.
ma'am, I will come to you. Do we have Jayashree ma'am with us? Because okay, so we'll start with Veena ma'am now. We'll take Jayashree ma'am later. As she joins.
I will start. I'll give my answer with the help of an example, Vivek. We were posted in Binagudi, and I was teacher in Army Public School, teaching 9th and 10th standard science as usual. So, we used to travel, all the children, teachers in Shaktiman, 3 ton. You must have seen, being part of Army school, how we travel. So there was a child, Shubhadeep Chattopadhyay. I still remember his name. He was in 9th standard. I was the class teacher. And every time, whenever there would be crowd in the bus, he will get up for smaller children and give the seat to them. Or what he would do with small children, if they're standing, he will offer his lap or some small space created somewhere for them to be seating, or carry their bags or water bottles if they are not ready to sit. So, you know what I did one day? One day we had our class assembly. I called Shubhadeep on the stage and I told him that please explain what you have been doing in the bus. He was too embarrassed that why should I explain in front of the school what I have been doing. So then I told that this is what he has done to most of the days, and I just being sitting there, part of this bus journey with the children, I had been observing. So that example, when was given to the children, I think that was more than enough for the other children to get motivated to offer a helping hand to the others whenever it is required. And second example, I would just from my own life, I will just tell you, we always, tell this age of students or this age of children that they lack soft skills. They do not know how to respect elders. They do not there is a complete essay, we will be having that they don't do this, don't do this, don't. But I totally do not agree with this. I have not seen I've really seen this generation to be the most sensible one. They have flaws, let it be, but they are the most sensible ones. I tell you, you are walking on the metro station alone with a briefcase. Some smart young chap or girl will just come removing the headphone and say, ma'am, may I help you? What is this? Is this not the respect? Is the respect only being virtued if a child touches your feet? Is this the only respect parameter we have to, I don't think so. My child, if he gets up and says, hi, mom, I think it is a respect. I agree that yes, he has greeted me in the morning. That's enough. So I think we have to change our specs to see the virtues in this generation. We have to change our nazariya, I would call it, because this generation, they have got so many good things. I love to take from them. I want to learn from them. If I remember my childhood or my young age, I would be courteous or respectful to only the people whom I know. I must be called very respectful girl, but my respect was only to my inner circle. This generation, they do not have this bias. They will always have the respect to. So, see, narrating these stories to children in the assembly, whenever I stand to address the assembly, some or the other real life incident comes to my mind and I tell them. I think this is the best way to develop the soft skills. This is the best way to create an example, create a platform for such children who have done something great, who have done something so proud and made you, really look forward to explaining it to the others. So my idea of, teaching them would be like this.
So true, ma'am. Like, yes, students learn from their peers, their elders, and that's so true. Like earlier, everything was confined to the inner circle. People were not talking to some stranger, but right now, since due to maybe internet age, everything is, interconnected. We help strangers. I've seen children talking directly with full confidence to like us only. Like if we are walking on the park and they need some suggestion or some help, they confidently ask. Earlier, we used to be very hesitant about this. So yes, generation has changed and we must change the way we perceive them. नजरिया हमें बदलना चाहिए ताकि हम इनको आसानी से समझ सकें और फिर अच्छे से गाइड कर सकें.
Sure.
Kalpana ma'am, I'll come to you. So in our curriculum in school, yes, how do we help students developing their soft skills that will, guide them in the long run?
Yeah. When we are teaching them in our curriculum, if you see, giving simple examples. For example, if like ma'am has told day-to-day life, or you can take people like Shivaji Maharaj, for example. If I'm teaching life history of Shivaji Maharaj, there are so many life skills which I can teach, or soft skills which I can teach to the child by different incidents in his life. Take Gautam Buddha now. From his life also, there are so many soft skills which we can teach students. Like ma'am has told, confidence can be built in our students by such inspirational stories, of people, those who are around us also. You can take simple examples, so you can give them examples of their parents also. There are many parents, those are working really hard to educate their kids. So why just whatever is in our curriculum? People, those who are working around us, if we give their examples also, we can inculcate these soft skills in our children. Like in our schools, we call people like doctors. We call peoples like postmasters also, who guide our children. These people, even the people, those who are workers, class 4 workers, they also teach many things to our kids through their work. Actually, we try to do that by day-to-day activities which we carry out. We felicitate these class 4 workers on Teachers Day also. So through curriculum and through different activities which are carried out in the school, we can inculcate these soft skills among our kids.
Rightly said, ma'am. As you said, like concept, like no job is small or big.
Yes.
Some terminologies are given as class 1 or class 4.
Yes.
That even I think that should not be there. जैसे कि एक बहुत अच्छा, like there's a trending meme in the recent WhatsApp post. आप सबने देखा होगा कि एक छोटा सा बच्चा है, अपनी मदर के साथ जा रहा होता है, तो उसकी मदर बोलती है, बेटा देखो कचरे वाला जा रहा है. तो द चाइल्ड रिप्लाइज कि मम्मी वो तो सफाई वाला है, क्योंकि वो सफाई करता है, कचरे वाले तो हम हैं कि हम कचरा फैलाते हैं. So yeah, that is the learning of our new generation. Jayashree ma'am is with us. So ma'am, I like to take this question to you. So how in our curriculum, in our school, where students spend maximum of their time, we help them inculcate soft skills? Ma'am, can you hear?
Can you just repeat the question? I missed it.
So ma'am, it's like how in our curriculum we help students develop soft skills in school time, not precisely in curriculum,
first of all,
but directly or indirectly. Yes, ma'am, continue.
So I think one very good initiative that we have been taking in our school is the way we wish each other. Okay, we have stopped wishing everyone good morning, good evening. Okay, it has been happy morning, happy evening. Okay, there is a reason to this. As a student of English, I realize one thing, that when you say good, when you talk about degrees of comparison, good is at the base. There is something which is better and then the best. So why should I greet something with a greeting as base as good, when it has to be the best? So I suppose we do that, and we also like, and you can try it. When you say good morning, you don't get a smile on your face, but you can never say happy morning without a smile on your face.
True that, ma'am.
You know, and smiles. So when you're back in the same,
I think due to some network issue, Jayashree ma'am's connection is getting disconnected often. So we'll go to the next question. I think we got the input from ma'am. She directly said, in her school, she has stopped wishing. She stopped the regular wish of good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Rather, she initiated with happy morning. And why she cancelled good? Because good is at comparative level, good, better, best. So there is basic, then comparative one is better, then superlative one is best. So, sorry, I was explaining your point only, ma'am. If you can hear me, then you can continue.
Yeah. So I think that is one initiative which has actually brought in a lot of change in the way children think, the way teachers, sometimes teachers themselves are pretty grumpy in the morning. There could be a lot of gaps, like, they could possibly be bringing a lot of baggage from their homes. So I suppose that is one reminder to all the teachers who are part of the school that it is they are in the school and we expect that kind of an attitude from their end. So once you say a happy morning greeting, then the whole atmosphere in the school becomes non-threatening. You're getting my point. Actually, school ought to be a non-threatening place, because non-threatening environment is what nurtures learning. Learning is such a beautiful thing. Why it should be mundane? Why it should be boring? It should be an exciting place to be in. Today also, when I learn something new, it excites. I get my adrenaline rush. I'm sure the same thing is true with children. So much true, because their learning graphs are so steep. So I suppose there is no dull moment for a child. And it's okay to fail. It's okay not to do well in the school, in the curriculum, in the test. But teacher is upset by the fact that you did not perform well in the test, but she loves you despite that. I suppose that message also should get reiterated time and again to the students to ensure that they maintain that equanimity of passing and failing in schools, because that is where you establish it more. And the other thing that we do as a policy is we keep changing children's divisions. We have so many divisions, right? So first of all, we don't have the division based on their academic achievement. We have a mixed set of children in all classes. So what we do is we shift them to different classes on different years. What happens here is children learn to make new friends. They learn the adaptability skills. So when parents also come and request me that, ma'am, I think I want my child to go back to that class, like I think what ma'am mentioned about parents being overprotective about children. So parents do come and tell me that, ma'am, I want my child to go to that class because he has been in that class, his friend is in that class. So I just tell the parent that just give the child 1 month's time, 1.5 months time. If by then the child has not adjusted, I'm not wanting the child to get anxiety ridden, but at the same time, I want him to give his best shot at adapting himself in that particular class. And believe me, more than 98% of children have settled in the new classes.
Wow.
So that also works extremely well when it comes to adaptability, because it's all about, one is, I suppose we have to also instill a sense of gratitude among our children. I think there has to be gratitude towards the parents, gratitude towards the teachers, gratitude towards the school. Very, very essential. Children have this tendency many times, like today, I was actually seeing a movie made by a teacher, because you see those children coming from different segment of the society, okay, adapting so beautifully to this curriculum that should make them happy, is all part of the curriculum. So there is a proper curriculum that is taught to the children. And Sri Dalai Lama was responsible for kind of being part of this pioneering move. So I happened to see it and I realized how close we felt we were to that particular philosophy, because that's precisely what gets promoted at SNBP.
I think one more, point I would like to add here is in the curriculum, we already have, the soft skills in the curriculum in the form of value education, in the form of moral education. But the problem is that neither the teachers nor the students, they take it seriously. Because if that moral education or value education period which has been assigned in the weekly timetable of the class, if it is utilized properly, the children will gather all the essence of the soft skills very, very beautifully. And second thing is, we are discussing here these soft skills of with regard to the students. I find my children have lots of soft skills. They do not lack in any soft skills. Just the two which I mentioned in the beginning, the time management or little bit of, that problem I always have. It is the parents who need to be taught soft skills. As a principal, I sit in my office and, really wonder that, we need to have some classes and some curriculum for the parents to acquire soft skills. When I suppose I give you an example. My children, they come to my office that, ma'am, we want a fete on this Children's Day. I don't want that because I don't want their academics to be suffered for, in the preparation of fete. But then if I give them a reason, I have to be prepared for the next question, why? So first I have to answer that why, and then I will prepare my answer to them. But if I have done my homework, if I have given them an answer with a related answer to their why, which follows my answer, I think they are convinced. I tell them that you do good in your pre-board exam. You have not done in half yearly. You do good in your pre-board exam. We will have fate after the pre-board exam. So they are convinced. But same philosophy I cannot have with the parents. You tell them one thing, they will come up with 10 different things. So I really feel we are, really mind-blogging to develop the soft skill in the children, which more or less they have. I am happy with my children. And I always have been happy with my children, including you, Vivek.
It's my privilege, ma'am, to be, guided by you. From here, again, we go to another important question, a connected one. So what are the parents' role in helping the child develop soft skills from the tender age? Because they are the first teachers. And, we see, like when we step into the industry right now, when I go to organizations, or you have seen, and as you rightly said, parents need to develop it more. So what should be parents' role? Because we see that hardly 5 to 10% of the population, I'll not say students who grow up, if the rest, 80 to 90% of them do lack soft skills. The basic gratitude, how to cope up with the pressure, how to manage their time, how to handle the difficult situation, or anything like that. So what should be the parents' role in helping child develop these soft skills? Veena ma'am, I'll start with you only.
Vivek, first thing is the parent has to know the potential of their child. If you want to develop any soft skill or any relationship, any bonding with your child, please understand your child. I, as a principal, should not be there in the office to tell you that your child has this or your child does not have this. You are the mother, you are the father, you should know it better. You should know before the child is being handed over to me in the school that what does your child have and what does your child not have. So this is the biggest irony these days. And this builds up their expectations. This builds up their, bond breaking with the child. The child is always, alienated from the parent. You talk to the child, the child will go to the counselor and say, I hate my mother. I hate my father. This is a common sentence, the children, they use these days, right from class 8 onwards. Earlier it was class 10 onwards. Now with the, generation getting more hyper, it is starting from 7th, 8th onward. They say, I hate my parents. I don't want to live with my parents. Why? So you forget about, the parents' role in building the soft skill. The child is not willing to talk to them. So first of all, the parents have to, and earlier, what was the tendency? We used to be in a joint family. I've also been brought up in a joint family. So we were like 8, 9 cousins and always fighting. And hardly anything would go to our parents to be sorted out. We'll sort the things out ourselves itself. But now the thing is, one child in a family. The child gets up from the chair and says, the mother says, oh, call the doctor. The child is not well. So the children, they do not need this. They just want the time of their parents. And the parents, in lieu of their time, they are surely only giving them money. If the child is not doing well in the exam, the parent will say, you do well in your exam, I will buy you an iPhone. He will not say
Or
that
they
I
will put them for two more tuitions, basically.
Tuitions,
No, they will not say that I will work with you. Gone are the days.
Yeah.
I know in 8th standard, I shifted from a central school to a private school in 8th standard, and my father sat with me in the evenings to make me understand everything. Where are those fathers now? We should not talk about what the parent's contribution is building the soft skill. We should talk about the parent contribution in building a bond, soft bond with the child. So this is the, I don't know, I am the only one who is witnessing this, or my fellow principals will also agree to it, that there is a strenuous, tension between the parents and the children, which is reflecting on the child. The child is frustrated. The child is anxious. The child is depressed. The child is not able to make friends. The child is not able to cope up with the studies. Everything is now, reflected on the child. So we have to do something with this kind of, family system when we are having a nuclear family and we are not spending our time with the child. The child is always, with the bhaiyas or maids or tuition teachers or mentors and not with the parents. I think in this rat race, we are losing on all the software that even the school is teaching them. They are also not being reflected on such children. So, and yes, I will just take one more minute to tell you one small, again, an incident. We talk about the truth. We talk about honesty as parents. And हम मतलब boast करते हैं, देखो मैं फलाने होटल में ठहरा था, होटल से एक बेडशीट, एक टॉवल और ये टॉयलेटरीज उठा लाया. And this you say in front of your child, to whom you had been telling, be honest, be truthful. What is the child going to learn? Child is confused कि ये honesty है कि जो teacher ने बताया था वो honesty है. What is the honesty? So the parents need not work anything on soft skills. They need to work on building a relation with their child. They need to build on being truthful to the child, being honest to the child, and communicate to your child. Talk to him, good, bad, whatever it is, and leave your expectations, please. I fold my hands in front of all the parents to tell them that please do not burden your expectations on the child. The child is in such a beautiful state of mind. Let him enjoy and become whatever he wants to. When I met Vivek, and Vivek said, ma'am, I wanted always to be in this field, and I was so happy that at least one child could come back and tell me I am doing what I wanted to. Good.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It's all contribution from the teachers and who brought me to this journey. Mainly the Army Public School Pune has built me. Whatever I am today has been by the teachers of that school. You are one of them.
Thank you.
So yes, ma'am, Jashri ma'am, parents' role, a very, very important one. As Veena ma'am said, like they don't require money, they don't require multiple tuitions, they just require compassion and time from their parents. So ma'am, what's your view on this?
Absolutely. I think very well said, Veena ma'am. I also have experienced some parents like that. In fact, but there has been some difference. I have come across some parents who are so highly qualified, and then they decide to take a sabbatical for their child's sake and constantly harp on it and remind the child that it is because of you that I took a sabbatical, making the child experience a sense of guilt. And then also saying, you need to study more because I have sacrificed my life for you. So I think it's so unfair.
Very true.
It is so unfair. I have come across parents like that, and I have found myself telling to that parent, "Hello, ma'am, I think you should take up a job somewhere because you are too indulgent. You are too indulgent. You are literally breathing down the child's neck. So spare him, give him space." So sometimes that also becomes excessive. And because it is not about, I mean, when we talk about quality time, parents actually think quality time means productivity. That is another big time problem. If you realize what is productivity, it is about targets. Like, once I spend 10 minutes with my child, his mark should increase from 8 to 9. That is how I suppose they start converting their official targets, their professional targets at their personal level. So I think that is also not fair on the child. I think let the child just have your company, even if it means it is not necessary to even speak to the child. Sitting with the child and watching a cartoon is good enough. It is not always about dictating or being there, and the child has had enough of sermons. The child learns, like I think what we began with, we mentioned that values are caught, never taught. So if the parents get into sermonizing children and telling them that this is what is right, this is what is wrong, the child is going to turn deaf ears. So it is just about okay to just be around and say, "Hello, I'm there whenever you need me." So that's such a beautiful relationship. I think it is because one is, of course, you kind of do empathize with parents, because these days, like what Veena ma'am mentioned, it is no longer like you have 4 children. It's okay if one child did not do well. You can actually put in your aspirations to 2 other children. But these days it is just one. So mother's aspiration, father's aspiration, and they are so absolutely sure about their DNA doing magic on the child. So these are some things which are absolutely, you just don't know whether to laugh or cry. But this is the sad state of affair.
We are sending a good message, and we are very hopeful that some parents, some children will listen to this and eventually understand what actually it takes to be successful. What is the definition of success? It's never about good marks. It's never about good job. It's about satisfaction. It's about happiness.
Absolutely.
So, Kalpana ma'am, I'll
Absolutely.
come to you. What do you think? What should be the parents' role in helping child develop soft skills? Or what
Like
should be the
ma'am has
parents'
told,
role, basically?
actually parents should lead with example. Like ma'am gave an example. If a parent is lying to someone, then how can you expect your child to be honest? This is what we see. And one more thing, what a parent should inculcate in child is respect. These days, the way parents or they talk about each other, they talk about teachers, education system at home, then how can you expect a child to be respectful towards teachers? Again, if I see in our age, when we used to get scoldings or beatings from the teachers, and when we used to tell at home, we used to get double punishment from our parents. Now, if a child goes home and tells that I've got a punishment for so and so purpose, what happens? The parents come to school, how dare you? Actually, this is one more thing which a parent has to teach kids is the respect. You respect your teachers, you respect your elders, and they should lead with an example. Whatever a child tries to imitate his parents. So parents play a very important role in child's life to develop this soft skill. Actually, they are the first teachers. Before child comes to school at the age of 5, 6. But before that, child is with the parent, with mother and father. What parents feel now, they can purchase everything for the child. Everything can be brought with money, which is not true. This is what parents should realize. And like ma'am has told, they should stop pressurizing their kids with the expectations. That is very, very important in these days. We have seen many children in depression because of this, because of over expectations from the parents. So they are very important, and actually along with students, parents also need to be trained. How can they be a good parent? That is very, very important. No, they need more
Uh,
training than students. Like ma'am has told, it's very difficult to handle parents. It's very easy to train students.
One more
so
thing,
true, ma'am.
it is always said that at the age of 1 to 5, when the
Yes.
child is in the age bracket 1 to 5, if you say something yet don't do it, or don't do this, don't do that. So this not is not receptive. He's not receptive to that not. Whenever we use this word don't, so the child switches itself off. He will not react to this don'ts. So for example, if we want the child to, we said don't stoop. Instead of that, if you say walk straight, the child is going to accept it. And there was a teacher in class 1. I was on round, and when I was just going around, maths teacher was there. She was teaching mathematics, and there is a child who has got little problem of learning. So I was just curious to know what is that child doing. The child brings a answer to the teacher. The teacher said, "You are very close. Just go back and retry." Instead of saying you are wrong, what did the teacher say? Teacher said, "You are very close to the answer. Just go and retry." So this helps. So as a teacher, as a parent, we must encourage the child to do something. Suppose the child 2 plus 2, the child has written 3. The teacher says, "You are very close. Just one more try. Go and count once again. You will be definitely reaching the answer," rather than saying wrong and throw the notebook. So
Wow.
we must have the mindset of the mature adults when we are dealing with the children. This is very, very important. Whether we are teachers, whether we are workers in the field of education, or whether we are parents, we must have a mature mindset when we are dealing with the children.
So true, ma'am. So now we'll go to the question answer session. So maybe for each question, I'll ask only one of you, and we'll try to keep it short and crisp. So, ma'am, Veena, ma'am, when you said the statement that some traits are hereditary and some can be developed, we have parent Mr. Braj Bhushan Jha. He asked, does every child have same set of skills, or these are hereditary too? So, like, does
No.
same set of skills come with birth, or every different child will have different set of skills from birth?
Because the skills, they will be matching the DNA of the parents. So even the 2 children born in the same house, siblings, might not have the same skills. Forget about all the children, because genetics says that there is going to be variation in all respects, variation in physical attributes, variation in the attributes of the soft skills, variation in the domains of cognitive skills. Everything is going to be different. So all the children, they are not inheriting the same soft skills, but with the same experimentation and following a systematic approach with the children, I think we can train both the children equally. We can groom them equally. That is in our hands. That how are we going to take them from what they have to what we make out of it.
Right, ma'am. I'll come to Jayashree, ma'am. So we have a student, Mr. Amit Singh. He says, I'm an average student of 8th standard, and my parents do not allow me to participate in extracurricular activities in the school, as I do not perform well in academics. What should I tell them? So what would be your message to student and parent?
I think the child definitely deserves to be participating in various activities, because, see, it is like, I think it's so unfair that we measure children's skills only based on their cognitive ability to score. Like, I think it's all academic related. There could be some avenue that the child could actually exhibit his talent, skill. And once his ability and skill is applauded and received well by everyone, I suppose his confidence gets boosted. And for all you know, he will do better in his studies also. So I will request the child to actually share this part of the clip and tell the parents that he should be allowed to participate in various activities. For all you know, he may be very, very good at a lot of things and which has not got explored fully. And that success is going to be ultimately reflecting in his confidence building, and he may do very well in his academics also, because that has happened many a times.
So true, ma'am. And again, I will add on, like in 8th standard, the child does not have so much academic pressure that basically builds in 11th standard, 12th standard, maybe 10th as first board exam. But in 8th, you can always spare time to participate in some sports, some co-curricular, and that should always be encouraged, because you have tried by allowing him not to participate and you have seen that his performance is not improved. Maybe try once by allowing him to participate and see the result. So that would be my message to the student. And
I
yes,
just in one sentence, I just want to give a message to the parent that careers now in the life of a child, they are not academic careers. There are now 50% of the careers which are non-academic careers. So the child has every right to explore them. So you cannot measure the scale of the success of the child on the basis of his or her academic performance. Because now it is 50-50. 50% of the children, they will make a career in the academic streams. 50% will make a career in the non-academic streams. So you might not know that this child is meant for non-academic careers.
So true, ma'am. And like many are successful. The top singers, Virat Kohli is not even 12th pass. He has said openly in the media. But how many of us, after even completing PhD, reach to a level of where Virat Kohli is? So we should never undermine any kind of potential that a child may have.
Absolutely, absolutely. In fact, I mean, the new education policy also talks about multidisciplinary approach. It says, I mean, children should be allowed to pick subjects of their choice, and it shouldn't be kind of you become a master of some subject. So it is all about a combination and a bouquet of subjects which are totally different, because ultimately you never know which would click and which may not click for his career. So I think, like what Veena ma'am mentioned, it is absolutely possible that the child may get into a stream which is meant for him. Possibly he'll create a niche for himself.
So true, ma'am. So Kalpana ma'am, I'll take next question to you. So we have Sarika, who is a student of 9th standard, and her question is that I want to participate in competitions, but I'm never selected for it, as there are students who are better than me. Every time they are only chosen to take part. So I think co-curricular activities, she's talking about debate and extempore competitions. So what should be her approach? What should she do?
See, I would like to tell Sarika that every child is different. Maybe if she is not selected in particular competition, she should not get disheartened. She should try. She might be having some other skill in which she will be selected. And along with this, I would like to suggest teachers also, please try to see that the child who is backbencher, sometimes child is hesitant to take part, or there is a child who takes part regularly in the competition but doesn't reach to the position where the child should be. In this case, teachers might help children a lot, because in such cases we have seen when such children are encouraged, they do wonders in their life, not even only in the competitions. In future also, they do wonders when they get opportunity. So in this case, I would like to say teachers should give opportunity to such kids, and the kids like Sarika, she should not get disheartened. She should keep on trying, because one day or other, in one skill or the other, she'll definitely succeed.
Veena ma'am.
I would request the teachers to, explore more such competitions which are within a class. Sure. Why should we go for inter-house, inter-school, or, intersection kind of competitions wherein we always need the excellent ones to participate? We can always have a class competition. And yes, one more approach can be the teachers, they assign some formative assessment activity in the class itself. which can be graded on the basis of how the child speaks or how the child paints or how the child draws. I think this is the teacher's initiative. They should take the initiative and take a level ahead. And because summative assessment, we know it is a paper and pen test, which the child is going to write for 3 hours in the exam room. But formative assessment is within our hand. We can always give them projects or debates or declamation or something in the class itself, wherein every child is given chance to speak, to paint or draw or whatever activity of their choice. The teacher should be responsible for this.
Giving opportunity to kids is very important. And teachers know their kids best. So
yes,
teachers should try to encourage such children.
So, Kalpana ma'am, again, I'll come to you only.
Yes.
India being a vast country and we have more than 50 primary languages spoken.
Yes.
Can language be a barrier in developing soft skills? Is it?
No.
Like we don't have a terminology in Hindi. जैसे soft skills है, इसको हिंदी में क्या कहते हैं, मराठी में क्या कहते हैं, मुझे भी अभी तक नहीं पता. I tried to find out, but I could not find something, upfront. अब इसको soft skills को एक we cannot just literally translate it. There has to be a proper word, but there isn't. So, what do you think? Is language a barrier in developing soft skills?
Maybe language can be one of the tools to develop the soft skill, but it can never be a barrier. If you see, we have grown up with listening stories from our grandmother. The soft skills or the morals which were taught through these were in vernacular languages, different stories in different languages. If I'm not good at particular language, it doesn't mean that my soft skill will not be developed. We see many people around us who are illiterate. When we walk on the road, these illiterate people, when a person meets with an accident, these people run to help the person who has met with an accident. These people, they don't know the language, or it's not they are literate that these soft skill is developed through education, but the life itself teaches us soft skill. It's not about language, or it's not about in which language, in which strata of society you live. The life, what we go through in our lives develops our soft skills. That's what I feel.
Okay, ma'am. Jashree ma'am, your input on this?
Absolutely. I think very rightly said. If you ask me, I think sanskar could be possibly the closest word that I can think of as soft skill, right? I think it is all about sanskar, and it is imbibed, so typically, just adding on to what all we spoke today, it all boils down to that sanskar. And I think Hamari sanskar is part of our Sanskriti, right? I think that is also one part. Like our Indian Sanskriti never had anything like soft skills to be taught. It is all actually, if you ask me, it's all from the West, because Sanskriti was part of our grooming. And when you talk about language is again a soul of one place's Sanskriti. So I think a Maharashtrian is going to feel as much empathetic as a Tamilian or a Teluguite or a Kannadika. So I'm sure we all agree on the same platform. So it is all about feeling a sense of empathy, which is beyond language.
So true, ma'am. Yes, Veena ma'am, we will have your concluding statement on this.
I totally agree with Kalpana ma'am and Jashree ma'am, what they have said, that language is no barrier with this, because the child is observing you. I said that two eyes are always watching you, whether you are in school, whether you are in home, whether you are sleeping, waking, eating, walking, whatever you are doing, the child is so I don't think we need any communication to tell the child what I want to tell you, or what I want to guide, what I want to guide for you. No, nothing, because the child knows. So sometimes, you will say that the children, they are parenting their parents, because good school where, they are being taught good soft skills, they carry it back home, and they help the parents also to develop their soft skills. It's a very small example. In every school, I'm quite sure a dustbin is there in every class, and the children, they are being taught that whenever they have to sharpen the pencil, whenever they have to throw a paper or a wrapper or something, they have to come to the dustbin and throw it there. So this habit has reached the parents also. Now the parents say that the child says that I want a dustbin in my study room also, because I want to, whatever I'm being taught in the school. So the child is parenting the parent. I use this statement. So if you are making the children responsible for certain soft skills, like a drive was conducted in my school wherein we said we are not going to use polythene. So the teachers will also not carry plastic bottles. So we will not have anything of plastic in the campus. So this message was so strong in the mind of the children that many parents, when they came to me in the PTM, they said, "Ma'am, you've started such a nice thing. My child at home has also become vigilant or to not overuse of plastic. The child is always careful. No, ma, we'll carry a cloth bag because it is taught in the school." We do not have curriculum for soft skill. We do not have any activity to teach a soft skill. It is the desire of the person to be taught and the bend of the mentor who wants to teach.
So true, ma'am. I think we can go on, and they will not be, stopping us. And this discussion will never end because so much depth of knowledge you three carry. But, we have some constraint. So maybe we'll just take the concluding statement of today's discussion from all three of you, and we will wind up the show. So we'll start with Kalpana ma'am only. Maybe
Okay, I
some
would like
message
to
to the
say,
students and
yeah,
parents you want to give.
yes, I would like to say, like ma'am has said, that soft skills cannot be taught. It comes in our sanskar, the way we have been brought up. And if we want to change, it depends on a person. You can inculcate soft skills in yourself. I would like to appeal to students as well as parents. Please see that you develop your soft skills, students, those who are going to be the future citizens of our country. And parents, those who are shaping them, please see that we are shaping future of our country. We need not teach them through the curriculum. It's the way we behave. It's the way we put ourselves in front of our children. This is the way we can teach soft skills to our children instead of just planning it through moral education. It's the way by leading with an example we can teach soft skills to our kids. That's what I want to tell teachers as well as parents. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Veena ma'am.
I fold my hands and request the parents to take care of my children. All the children, wherever they are studying, because this generation of children is a beautiful amalgam of the culture, of the Sanskriti, of soft skills, of everything. They are brainy, they are intelligent. Only thing is that we must have the caliber to handle them, to protect them, to nurture them, and to lead them. So please lead them with examples and teach empathy, teach respect by just being empathetic, by just being at your good behavior. The child is automatically going to learn everything. So my humble request to all the parents. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us today and giving your valuable time and valuable depth of knowledge to all our students and parents, sharing it with them. Thank you so much for joining us. I'll be sharing the link with you shortly. I think we have Jayashree ma'am for the final input.
Thank you, sir.
Ma'am, I will take your concluding statement, Jayashree ma'am. Thank you for joining us again. Please, what would be your concluding statement for students and parents?
My concluding statement possibly could be in form of a song, if you don't mind, Vivek.
Ma'am, please. It will be a privilege.
ये जीवन है इस जीवन का यही है, यही है, यही है रंग रूप। कोई गम है, कोई खुशियाँ, यही है, यही है, यही है छाव धूप, ये जीवन है। ये नो सोचो इसमें अपनी हार है कि जीत है, इसे समझा लो जो भी जीवन की रीत है। ये जिद छोड़ो, दिल ना तोड़ो, हर पल एक दर्पण है, ये जीवन है। So this is for the parents, that let there be no comparison between the children. Highs and lows keep happening, and it is not always about winning a race. Thank you so much, Vivek, for bringing us all together. And I'm extremely sorry for the network. There has been a heavy rain in this part of the city. I wouldn't know whether it is true there. So thank you so much.
It's interesting. Thank you so much, all the esteemed principals, for joining me here.
Thank
we
you.
conclude the event.
Thank you, all of you.
Thank you. Thank you.